UFC 284, Makhachev versus Volkanovski takes place in only a matter of hours, and I'm going to go through my last minute detailed prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event. I'm not just saying who I believe is going to win and why I think they're going to win. I did that earlier this week. I'm trying to predict how every single fight on the card is going to go start to finish. If there's going to be a KO, what round will it be in? What limb will be used to set up the KO? What submission will be achieved? What scorecards will be read if it does go to a decision? And just how every single minute of the fight plays out, start to finish. We're going to start straight away with the early prelim opener of Zubaira Tukhugov versus Elves Brenner. I'm going to go with Zubaira Tukhugov getting himself a first round TKO here because I think he's going to be a little bit more urgent because he did miss weight. I don't think it was a bad weight cut. I just think sometimes when you move up a weight class, you sort of like don't really have the weight cut on lock for that weight class yet. You sort of should do a test cut, but Zubaira Tukhugov misses weight. I'm not going to look too much into that. I think he's going to get a first round TKO, I reckon here. Elves Brenner and Zubaira Tukhugov start very patient. Things get scrappy, and then Zubaira Tukhugov lands one on his chin, puts him down, and finishes him off against the cage. I'm going to say he pull counters, moves out the way, lands back with a combo of his own, like a right hand, left hook, puts down Elves Brenner, and finishes him against the cage by TKO. We move on. Up the card, Shane Young versus Blake Bilder. I'm going to go with a decision for Blake Bilder. I originally said he was going to get a finish, but I feel like he's going to be able to sort of like take down Shane Young, put him in some bad positions early on. Maybe Shane Young in the third round is going to make a little bit of a comeback and start having some good success on the feet with his stand-up, but I think Blake Bilder in the first two rounds is going to be a bit even on the feet with Shane Young, and towards the end of the round, take down Shane Young, go for a rear naked choke attempt. I reckon Shane Young's going to survive those positions and just be able to fight his way out of it, 2-on-1 whenever Bilder has his back, and just survive those positions with the rear naked choke attempts and maybe like an arm triangle attempt at some point in the second round or something like that. So I think it will be even on the feet in the first two rounds. Bilder will get some good moments at the end of the first and the second with takedowns and submission attempts, winning himself those rounds, and then Shane Young will start stuffing the takedowns in round three and have a little bit of success, but too little too late. 29-28 Blake Bilder based on the first two rounds. We move on. Up the card, Loma Lookboonmee versus Elise Reed. I'm going to go with Loma Lookboonmee via like a 30-26 unanimous decision win, I reckon. I think in the first and second and third round, she's going to be way too much on the feet for Elise Reed. And I think there's going to be moments where Elise Reed's starting to look to get clinch against the cage. And I think Loma Lookboonmee's going to be beating her up to the body with knees and stuff like that. And elbows over the top of the clinch position. And just sort of ripping her on the inside, landing some good knees to the body, landing some good elbows, and also at range, just chewing up the leg of Elise Reed. Elise Reed might have some success landing some straight punches on Loma Lookboonmee and do a little bit of good boxing, but I think overall, the majority of the damage is going to be done in the clinch, and I can even see Loma Lookboonmee in certain moments, maybe in the second or third round, getting like a hip toss. If Elise Reed is going to be looking for the clinch because she's losing and she wants to change things up, I can see Lookboonmee hip tossing her, using some judo trips and throws, putting her on the ground and beating her up in side control, full mount, whatever you want. 30-26, Loma Lookboonmee. We move on. Up the card, Jack Jenkins versus Don Shainis. I'm going to go with Jack Jenkins winning this fight via a TKO at the end of the second round. I think it's going to be a scrap. A full-on scrap. That's what I sense from this fight. I think both guys are going to get crazy out there. Both guys landing good shots on each other. Don Shainis shooting takedowns. Jenkins getting back up. Both guys going to war again, scrapping with each other. Maybe Jenkins gets dropped, gets back up in the first round. Shainis gets dropped, gets back up. They're both still scrapping. Shainis gets a takedown, ends the round on top. It's a toss-up round. Who knows who got the round, but Shainis ended up on top at the end of it. Round two, get right back to work. Shainis gets a takedown early, looks for a submission attempt, can't quite find it. Jenkins ends up on top in a reversal, lands some big ground and pound shots. Shainis gets back up. Jenkins is beating him up against a cage. Shainis starts swinging back. They go crazy in round two again, both landing back and forth until Jenkins starts landing some really good body shots, starts following up with some knees to the body, and then finishes Don Shainis against the cage by TKO at the end of the second round. That's how I think that fight's going to go. I think it's going to be a great one to watch. So pay attention. We move on to another fight on the card, which is on the prelims. Jamie Mullarkey versus Francisco Prado. I'm going to go with a second round TKO for Jamie Mullarkey here. I think Francisco Prado is going to go out there, land some good shots on Mullarkey early on, take him down, have some submission attempts. I see some of the fights going the same way. Very similar styles of fighters, a lot of these people on the card. I think Francisco Prado has some success early on, landing some straight punches on Jamie Mullarkey, maybe cracking him on the chin a few times. Mullarkey's starting to get some kicks to the legs going and break down Francisco Prado, land some shots to the body, throw a couple head kicks to the arms of Prado, and Prado eventually gets a takedown, tries to do some work, but Mullarkey ends up back on his feet. Prado looking to take the back standing, but Mullarkey shakes him off. They're against a cage, and I think as it settles in, and we get into the second round, we're going to see Mullarkey start to win some of the stand-up exchanges. We're going to see the power of Prado start to diminish a little bit. He's getting a little bit less respect from Mullarkey now. He's not able to make Mullarkey fear his power. And then we're going to see Mullarkey start following up with his combinations. And after both of them exchange, Mullarkey's going to be the one finishing the exchange with combinations. And I think he's going to drop Prado in the second round and finish him against a cage. TKO. We move on. Shannon Ross versus Kleydson Rodrigues. I'm going first round TKO for Kleydson Rodrigues here. I think Shannon Ross is going to get scrappy with him straight away. And there's a lot of heat in this matchup. They were very heated at the weigh-ins. And I think Kleydson Rodrigues is going to get like a spinning back kick to the body, big flying knee, head kick, just start mixing up with a bunch of different techniques and go wild on Shannon Ross with a very, very exciting style. Will kick lands partially and Shannon Ross is a little bit rocked. Big flying knee against the cage to the body, big kick, big punches. And I just see Kleydson Rodrigues just getting the better of him. Very patient start. Things get crazy. Rodrigues wins with dynamic striking techniques like flying knees, wheel kicks, head kicks, all sorts like that, and gets himself the first round TKO. We move on. Up the card, Joshua Culibao versus Melsik Baghdasaryan. I'm going to go with Melsik Baghdasaryan, 29-28, unanimous decision win. I think it's going to be very, very hesitant. They were heated at the face-offs, but I think both of them are going to be nervous to engage on each other here. It's going to be a very slow fight early on, and I think Melsik's going to win a very, very slow first round, where Joshua Culibao just isn't really landing a lot of his punches, and Melsik Baghdasaryan's getting the better of him, chopping at the legs, going to the body at range, and just sort of keeping the distance on Culibao in the first round, which is going to be very patient. Round 2, Kalibao's going to start putting on the pace a little bit. Melsik Baghdasaryan might get a takedown for a second and look for a little bit of control and do a little bit of damage on Culibao to score himself some points, but Culibao works his way back up, and then we get back to Melsik landing the jab at range, landing inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks, body kicks, couple head kicks partially land on Culibao. Culibao gets scrappy, has his own success, but I think the second round's going to be close in favor of Melsik Baghdasaryan, landing a few more shots in that round. Round 3, I think Melsik's still going to be chopping at the legs early on. Kalibao's going to sort of go for broke, start chucking himself into the fire. Things are going to get really, really scrappy. And I think at some point towards the end of the third round, we're going to see Joshua Culibao drop Melsik Baghdasaryan badly. And Melsik Baghdasaryan's going to immediately pop back up, shoot in, try and take down Culibao, push him up against the cage, knee him to the thigh, body lock, taking the back position against the cage, win the rest of the round using some grappling and just sort of like desperately trying to go for takedowns, not giving Joshua Culibao any space. They eventually separate. Culibao comes flying forwards, but Melsik's now tagging him back a little bit, still landing his leg kicks, still landing some good shots. Not enough for a 10-8 in round 3 for Joshua Culibao, but he drops him. 29-28 Melsik Baghdasaryan. We move on to the main event of the prelims. Tyson Pedro versus Modestas Bukauskas. I'm going to go with Tyson Pedro via a Kimura submission is what I'm going to go for here. I think Pedro's going to be landing a lot of kicks to the calf early on. That's his go-to move right now. A lot of front kicks to the body and stuff like that. Modestas Bukauskas is going to be landing some decent punches. I think he's going to do quite well. Both guys are going to be landing some shots early on each other. But Tyson Pedro, I think, is going to have a little bit of a distinct speed advantage over Modestas Bukauskas, who likes to sort of warm into the fight as it goes on a lot of the time. And I think Pedro's going to have the advantage there, land some more good shots. Modestas Bukauskas is going to get sick of being kicked, and he's going to start trying to kick back with some body kicks and some leg kicks of his own. I think Pedro might catch one of those kicks, dump him over, end up on top in half guard. Modestas Bukauskas is trying to get back up, Tyson Pedro starts landing some good shots, settles back in half guard, takes side control, and then gets the Kimura finish over Modestas Bukauskas after some shots in that crucifix position with some elbows. He then goes for the Kimura on top position. Tyson Pedro gets it done by submission in the first round. We move on up the card to Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menifield on the main card. I'm going to go with Alonzo Menifield by KO in the first round. I think Jimmy Crute could win this if he grapples. I think he's going to spend about a minute or two on the feet early on, not grappling. I think he's going to be throwing some leg kicks, and they're just going to be naked leg kicks. They're not going to be set up by anything. Just trying to chop at Alonzo Menifield's lead leg, trying to land some shots, and I think he's going to sort of go in, try and land some combinations, leave his chin up in the air a little bit too much. Alonzo Menifield might crack him and hurt him for a second. Things go a bit crazy, and Crute clinches and tries a takedown, but he's somewhat rocked. Alonzo Menifield gets back up to his feet because Jimmy Crute is rocked and not quite with it when he goes for the takedown. They separate. Alonzo Menifield still at range. Crute trying to shoot in again, but he's not quite with it yet. Alonzo Menifield stuffs it. Crute tries to go back to leg kicks, and as he goes for a leg kick, I think Alonzo Menifield's going to time him with a massive shot. Left hook, right on the chin, and Jimmy Crute goes down in round 1. KO finish. We move on. Justin Tafa versus Parker Porter. I'm going to go with Justin Tafa by KO in the first round. I think it's going to get scrappy. I think both guys are going to be swinging on each other. I think Parker Porter's going to be getting the better of Justin Tafa in the boxing department early on. Both guys throwing a couple leg kicks and body kicks here and there just to mix it up. I think it's going to be a scrap. A high pace, high volume, heavyweight scrap. Porter's going to be getting the better of the fight early on, but I think eventually, because Porter has so much forward momentum, I think he's going to start charging in with combinations, trying to land 3-punch combos as Tafa's backing up, and Tafa's going to start to get a read on this and catch Porter coming in with a massive counter shot, put him down, finish him off with big shots on the ground. KO win from Justin Tafa in the first. We move on to Jack Della Maddalena versus Randy Brown. I think we're going to see something interesting here. I don't think I'm going to go with a first round TKO to Jack Della Maddalena. I'm going to go with a second round TKO is what I'm going to go with here. I think Jack Della Maddalena is going to start this fight chopping at the legs of Randy Brown. I think he's going to have some success doing that as well. I think he's going to establish his jab. I think Brown's going to land some shots on the feet as well and start sort of peppering up the face of Jack Della Maddalena early, and then Maddalena's going to start reminding himself to move his head a little bit and start getting his head on the outside off the center line. Land some more leg kicks on Randy Brown. Randy Brown maybe lands like a front kick to the face on Jack Della Maddalena, and Maddalena takes it well but backs up a little bit, and it starts to alleviate some pressure on Randy Brown, and now he's on the front foot and he's throwing some kicks on Maddalena. Maddalena starts landing a good combo on Randy Brown against the cage. They separate, they move. Brown takes the center of the octagon again. Maddalena throws more leg kicks, gets Randy Brown up against the cage again, starts swinging some shots. Randy Brown shoots for a takedown. Big takedown, gets it, half guard on top. Tries to go into side control. They end up scrambling around. Randy Brown stays in top position, lands a couple of shots on Jack Della Maddalena. Maddalena Granby rolls, goes for a leg, uses it to create some space and get back up to his feet, and pours on the pressure on Randy Brown towards the end of the first round. Great round of fighting. Round 2. Randy Brown staying at range. Tries to shoot in again whenever he backs up. This time Maddalena stuffs it, lands a couple body shots as they separate, lands a couple big shots to the head of Randy Brown as well, and they're both separated. More leg kicks from Jack Della Maddalena. Randy Brown starting to field him a little bit. You can see him taking a few weird steps. He's starting to back up and scoot around and try and get away. He lands a couple good shots on Jack Della Maddalena, but Maddalena takes them, throws some back afterwards, rips the body, rips the head. Down goes Randy Brown. TKO finish for Jack Della Maddalena. He's had some trouble. He's bleeding from the nose. He's got a busted eye a little bit, but he's won the fight by TKO in the second round. I think Randy Brown puts up a fight. We move on. Up the card, Yair Rodrigues versus Josh Emmett. This is going to be a great card, by the way I'm explaining it. I'm going to go with like a second round TKO from Yair Rodrigues is what I'm going to go with here. I think Josh Emmett is going to be swinging heavy early on, missing quite a bit. I think Yair is going to be chopping at the leg of Josh Emmett, throwing some kicks to the forearms of Josh Emmett and start following up those kicks with some like sudden punches. I think he's going to have a massive speed advantage, especially down the pipe early on, and land some stiff jabs on Josh Emmett, some straight right hands, mix up the stance, straight left hand, some hooks as he pulls away. Josh Emmett crashes in with a combo, and Rodrigues counters him with a few good shots and starts kicking at his arms again, kicking at his legs. Next time he kicks at the legs towards the midway point of the first round, Josh Emmett gets a takedown. Yair immediately latches up like an armbar. Emmett bails on it. He then goes for a leg of Emmett and starts threatening a leg lock. Emmett kind of bails on it. Yair's getting back up. Emmett shoots again. Yair Granby rolls, scrambles, works back up to his feet. And then Josh Emmett's still trying to swing on him on the feet. Yair's tagging him up. Yair's starting to land some head kicks kind of through the guard on Emmett, whose hands are now sort of stuck to his face because he has to watch out for those head kicks. Yair starts landing some really good front kicks to the body towards the end of the round. Some really good leg kicks as well. Round 1 is over. Round 2. Emmett lands a couple good shots early on. Yair's backed up a little bit, but he's fine. He's moving. He's rolling. Philly shell. Good head movement. Escapes his way off the back of the cage. Back to the center. More front kicks to the body. More leg kicks from Yair Rodrigues. Some stiff shots to the face of Josh Emmett as well. Emmett's trying to bob and weave his way in. Looking for another engage. Boom. Bang. Crazy. Yair Rodrigues front kicks him in the face. Boom. Josh Emmett's wobbled, falls down to the canvas eventually. Yair does his pathetic ground and pound that he does like he's playing the drums and just sort of starts wailing on Josh Emmett. Emmett's trying to move, but he can't quite get back up. He's in on a single leg of Yair, but Yair's just sort of smashing him behind the ear as he's doing it. And Josh Emmett loses by TKO Yair Rodrigues with a finish in the second round. We move on up the card. Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. This is the big one. I'm going with Islam Makhachev via third round TKO, is what I'm going to go with here. Alexander Volkanovski is going to be doing good early on. I think at the start of this fight, Volk's going to land some pretty good shots on Islam Makhachev. I think Makhachev's going to be trying to feint on the feet and throw some head kicks at Volkanovski. Volkanovski's going to sort of like parry them, start moving out of the way of some of them, then shift in, inside leg kick to a jab, jab to an inside leg kick as he's moving backwards, still moving around a lot on the outside. Makhachev's not really comfortable going forward too much if he isn't shooting takedowns, and we start to notice that. He starts sort of jumping in with some punches, and Volk's able to sort of move out of the way and tag him with a big punch. But now Makhachev's starting to land a few shots back. Their head kicks are kind of getting through the guard, and Volk's kind of feeling the power difference at lightweight, but he's still moving, chopping at the legs of Makhachev, jab to the body from Volk, jab to the face from Volk. Makhachev jumps in again, Volk moves, counters him, body shots him, shifts out again. But this time when Volkanovski goes for a kick, Makhachev shoots in for a single leg. Volk stuffs it, but Makhachev uses it to come back up to a body lock on Volkanovski with about 2 minutes left in the first round, gets an inside trip on Volk, takes him down. Volk rolls over, but Makhachev takes the back position, lands a couple punches. Volk looks up, looks at the clock, runs himself to the cage, starts trying to get back up against the cage. Makhachev gets back to a body lock position, another inside trip. Volk sort of sat up on his ass against the cage. Makhachev sort of like just tying up the legs with that Dagestani thing that they do, and landing a couple punches on Volk towards the end, starting to get wrist control, but Volk breaks out of it. Round 1 over. Round 2. Similar circumstance. Makhachev still throwing them head kicks. Makhachev starts throwing front kicks to the face now, and stuff like that to try and mix it up on Volk on the feet and try and keep him guessing. Volk still tapping away with his kick, his jab. He starts kind of going for Makhachev now. Starts swinging on Makhachev. At one point, he engages in the clinch on Makhachev. You know what I mean? And he starts separating and looking for shots on the break, and he's pushing Makhachev up against the cage. Makhachev's looking to tie him up and go for a toss. He goes for it. Volk doesn't go down from it, though. He stays up on his feet. Not a good hip toss from Islam Makhachev. Volk still putting the pressure on. Makhachev gets a tie clinch. Knees to the body on Volkanovski. Volk's trying to punch the body, but he's eating knees to the body. He doesn't like it, so he bails from the clinch. Takes a few knees to the body in that position. Back at range. Inside leg kick from Volk. Jab from Volk. Another shot from Volk. Islam Makhachev shoots a takedown, turns a corner, drives Volkanovski over himself, passes straight into half guard. Nightmare for Volk with about 2 minutes left in the second round. Makhachev's landing some shots. He's just on top of Volk now. Not doing too much. Just laying there, threatening an arm triangle. Volk gets out of it. Doesn't let him have it. threatening like a Von Flu choke, squeezing, using shoulder pressure on Volk, landing some little punches to the body on Volk while he's on the ground. Volk's trying to come back up and get on the inside and shoot for a single and try and come up on that single leg, but Makhachev's flattening him back down and not letting him back up and punching the body a few more times, and then sort of just laying there towards the end of the round as Volk's looking up at the clock, defends another arm triangle attempt. Round over, this round towards Islam Makhachev. Round 3. Volk goes for broke. Might be down 2 rounds. Needs to make a difference. Starts charging towards Makhachev. Bat, 1-2 lands. He gets a little moment of success. Starts going after Makhachev, but Makhachev's calm. Clinches Volk as he comes in. Big knee to the body. Goes for another trip and a sweep. Volk gets right back up to his feet. Still moving well. Inside leg kick, jab, but Makhachev keeps throwing these head kicks. Volk's blocking him. Keeps throwing the head kicks. Volk's blocking him. Goes for a body lock. Goes for the inside trip. Gets it on Volk. Volk gets right back up, but Makhachev has got him in the clinch against the cage. Big knee to the body. Big knee to the body again. Volk separates. Comes crashing back in on Makhachev, who's now against the cage. Looking for big shots. They land, but Makhachev gets the tie clinch. He's a little bit busted up. His eyes a bit swollen, but he gets the tie clinch. Boom! Big knee to the face on Volkanovski. Volk goes down. Makhachev settles on top position. Volk's kind of disorientated, so Makhachev goes right into half guard, right into mount. Volk's trying to scoot his way back up. He's given up his back. Makhachev's got wrist control. He's smashing Volk. Volk gives up mount again. More big shots from Makhachev. You gotta move, fighter. You gotta move, fighter. The ref's telling Volk to move, but he can't escape the position. The weight is too much. The damage is too much, and he's going to get TKO'd in the 3rd round. In mount is what I think is going to happen after a big knee to the face. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. That's exactly how UFC 284 is going to go. Hope you enjoy it.